Alrighty, hello Danny, welcome to your lesson. Today's lesson is number 37. And you just walked in. Do you want to say hi now to your future self? No, he doesn't want to. Okay, we're going to do lesson number 37, which is reading fractions and mixed numbers from a number line. I think you're really going to like this one because I think it's a little bit different than what we've been doing before, but you're going to get it right away because you're super smart. And you're going to see some nice pictures of supercars in your lesson. So, hope you enjoy that. Okay, love you, Danny. Bye. Okay, Smarty Pants, today we are going to go over lesson number 37, which is reading fractions and mixed numbers from a number line. So this is going to be super fun. I know you're probably like, oh, this is going to be so interesting. I can't wait to see what this lesson is going to be about. Well, let's see how it goes. Okay, we're going to jump right into mental math. And mental math is starts out with some subtraction problems. I gave you some super satisfying videos to look at while you do these subtraction problems. Okay, so let's jump right in. The first one, A, 780 minus 200. Okay, write your answer. The next one is 870 minus 230. Okay, how about C, 458 minus 30. See if you can write your answer for that. Look at the cool animation. That's really cool looking, huh? Good thing all the planets are not that close to each other though, right? I think that is not exactly to scale. Good thing. All right, how about D? 58 plus 6. Write your answer. E, 157 plus 19. And remember on these, they want you to think, oh, I'll just add 20 in my head and then I'll subtract 1. All right, what about F? This is 435 plus 35 plus 200. That is definitely getting tricky. See if you can write your answer for that one. If I went too fast, you can pause this video at any time. All right, now we're going to move on to problem solving, and this one is super fun. I think it's super fun. So it goes over this rectangle. So we have a rectangle here, and it's divided into 4 areas, right? So you have area A, B, C, and D. Okay, now what it says, what it tells you about, it tells you several things about this rectangle. So I highlighted some of the things here. Okay, so it says that area C is the same as area D. So if you calculate the area, which is all this space, remember area is not like perimeter. Perimeter is kind of like that, but area is like, what if I had to put carpet over the whole thing and you have to cover everything on the inside? Yeah, so that's area. And then it says area C is the same as area D. So I'm going to kind of color them the same color. So area C is the same as area D. Okay, good. Now it says areas C plus D together is the same as area B. So if you add C and D together, the whole area, let's say you had to put carpet over C and D, it's going to be exactly the same as the amount of carpet that you have to put over B. So this, I just did the perimeter there, so it's actually talking about areas here. And remember, to calculate areas, you have to do the square of a number. So it's the square of it. Okay, then it says, the next thing it says is areas C and D and B. So now we're talking about this whole part of the rectangle, like all of this. B plus C plus D together is the same as area A. Okay, so all of this is the same as area A. Now it says, what fraction, this is important, what fraction of the whole rectangle is each area? Oh my goodness, so this is tricky. So if this is the whole, this is the whole area, like I'm just doing the perimeter. I'm not exactly, if I were doing the area, I would color the whole thing in. But it's talking about this whole rectangle. So it wants to know A is what fraction, and that's kind of like the fraction of the whole rectangle. Maybe I'll do A for you, and because A is the easiest, and then I'll give you some clues and then we'll go from there. So A is just, let me make that bright. Let me get like a bright color. So A, if we're talking about the area, so like how much carpet do you need over A? compared to the whole rectangle, it looks like A is 1/2. Do you agree with that? So A might be 1/2 of the whole thing. And then B plus C plus D is also 1/2 of the whole thing. So for A, I'm going to put 1/2. Now, B, it told us that B, area B, is half of area A. Did it say that? Yeah, because area B is half of area A because look, if you make a line here, this is the same as like having a B here and a B here. And actually, that's a good way to figure out the fraction. If you divide the whole rectangle into shapes that look exactly like B, then you can see that B is going to be 1/4 of the whole rectangle because look, there's 4 B's. See, there's 1, 2, 3, 4. If I make 4 shapes that are the same as the shape B. Now, what if I do that with C or D? C and D is going to be the same fraction no matter what you get for either one. So how many of these shapes, like a little shape that looks like C, here's another little shape that looks like C. Let's say they're all C's. So how many C's are there total? That number is going to go on the denominator of the fraction, how many total numbers of C's. And then this top number is just going to be a 1 because they want to know C, this C, is what fraction of the whole. So it's basically saying how many C's fit into the whole rectangle. Anyway, I'm not going to give you any more clues because you're probably so smart that you're probably like, Mom, I know how to do this already. You don't need to explain it 5,000 times or for 5 minutes or whatever. So you figure that out. See if you can figure that out. Pause the video there. And when you come back, we're going to go over the new concept. So this is going to be super fun because the new concept is how to name mixed numbers on a number line. And this is fun because first we're going to count the number of segments between each whole number. And that's going to give us a clue as to what the fraction is going to be. So for example, if there are 4 segments between the whole numbers, like let's say you've got a number line. Actually, here, let me make a different color. Let's say you have a number line here, and you've got the number 0 and the number 1, and then you've got 4 segments. So there's like 4 tick marks in between. So this is what they mean by 4 segments. If there are 4 segments between the whole numbers, so here's a segment. Let's do like 1 segment, 2, oh no, I started past the 0. We have to start at the 0. 1 segment, 2 segments, 3 segments, 4 segments. Okay, so there's 4 segments between each whole number, 0 and 1. That means that each segment is actually, dun, 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 1/4 of that whole space in between those. So that's a 4th, that's a 4th, that's a 4th, and that's a 4th. And then obviously there's 4 fourths, and that makes 1 segment, okay? So that's basically how you do it. What if there were like 6 segments in between? Then these fractions, instead of being 1/4, they would be 1/6, okay? So again, you are so smart that if you want this car to be in your future, it can definitely be in your future if that's what you want, because you are smart and you're doing the right things by learning these lessons and focusing really hard and getting your education, that you can make this happen if you work really, really, really hard. But I'm not going to lie to you and say it's going to be easy, because it's not. It's going to be super hard. But if you want that to happen, it can definitely happen. All right, let's go for example 1. Example 1 says, what number is the arrow pointing to? And I'm going to draw the arrow for you just like the one in the picture. And in the picture, it is pointing to this, right? I can't make it right on that. Like right that segment. Okay, close enough. It's pointing to that segment. Okay, so the first thing that we have to do is count the segments. Okay, so we're going to count the segments between 5 and 6. 1, 2, 3. That means there are 3 segments, and that means that each space is going to be 1/3 of the whole thing. So that's a third, that's a third, that's a third. Okay. Now, if it wants to know which number the arrow is pointing to, and it's pointing right here to this segment, how many segments over is it? So it's actually 1 segment, 2 segments over. So it's 2 of those thirds, so it's 2/3. And then you take this whole number right here, and we're going to put that in front. So it's going to be 5 2/3. And that's the number that it's pointing to. It's pointing to 5 2/3 by pointing to this segment right here. Okay? The answer is 5 2/3. Okay, because there are 3 segments between 5 and 6, and each segment equals a third. All right, let's do another example and let this concept sink in a little bit more. Example 2. It says basically, to which number is the arrow pointing? And I put the arrow there for you. So step 1, we're going to count the number of segments, okay? They're supposed to be evenly spaced, but I'm not a perfect artist, so it doesn't look evenly spaced. So just forgive me for that, okay? So we're going to count the segments between 2 whole numbers. So there's a whole number, there's a whole number. So I know that my answer is going to be 17 and some fraction, but I just need to figure out the fraction. Because, why do I know that? It's because it's between the 17 and the 18, so it's past 17, but not as big as 18. So now let's count the segments. 1 segment. 2 segments, 3 segments, 4 segments, 5 segments. So there are 5 segments. So each little fraction, each little portion of the segment is 1/5. This is 1/5, this is 1/5, this is 1/5, this is 1/5, this is 1/5. So that makes sense because there's 5 of them, and 5 times a 5th makes a whole. So now we need to count over how many segments till we get to the arrow. So I'm going to use a different number for that, or a different color for that. Ready? Here's 1 jump, 1/5. Okay. 2/5, 3/5. So the answer is 17 3/5. So that arrow is pointing to the number 17 3/5. All right, let's do B. All righty. B is some number between 36 and 37. It looks like it's almost to the 37, but not quite there yet. So I know that my answer is going to be 36 and some fraction. Let me write the fraction line there. Okay. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to count the number of segments. Ready? 1 segment, 2 segments, 3 segments, 4 segments, 5 segments, 6 segments. And remember, I'm not counting the number of segments to the arrow. I'm counting the number of segments between 2 whole numbers. So between the 36 and between the 37. Between those numbers, there are 6 segments. So now I know that each segment is worth 1/6. 1/6, 1/6, 1/6, 1/6, 1/6. Wow, say that 6 times fast, huh? It's a tongue twister. All right, now we have to count how many segments over is that arrow. Let's get a different color, make it nice and bright. Here we go. There's 1/6, okay? There's 2/6. There's 3/6. There's 4/6. There's 5/6. And we stop there because that's where the arrow is, okay? So my fraction is 5/6. So the answer is, to what number is it pointing to? Well, it's pointing to 36 and 5/6, which makes sense because we noticed that it was almost to the number 37. And 5/6 is a fraction that means like it's almost to the number 37 because out of 6 segments, it's 5 segments of the way there. So it's almost there. Alrighty. Now we are going to turn the page and go on to... Oh, that's it. That is the lesson practice. So on the next page is the lesson practice. So that means you get to practice these fun concepts. And remember what I said. Work really hard, really, really hard. Harder than you are going to think. But that's okay because you have discipline and you can do hard things. And if you do, hey, if that's what you want to be in your future, that will be in your future. No problemo, Danny. Love you, Danny. Have a great day, okay? Bye.